So then, like following on with that, with, upskilling, like you said, those resources, how would you advise firms concerned that the Power BI person walks out, and then you're high and dry?
It's really important, mate. If you think, and you've got to have the right person with the right mindset that wants to do it and fits the mold. And I've been very blessed with the centre that was just, as I said, like a duck to water. So it was easy for her. But I'm sure in most accounting firms, there's someone out there would just beat this up for lunch.
Mhm.
They would love it. But you got to invest in it. You got to give them the time to train. We've put plenty of training into the centre, which is getting better and better. And it's a journey. You can't say, okay, you got a month to be up to speed. It takes a long time.
Mhm.
Maybe because we're doing more complicated stuff, I'm not sure, but it does take some time.
Right? Because, one of the big things that we find and what stops people doing it is that the skill is currently scarce. So we have people worried, well, if I lose somebody, what's going to happen? I'm going to lose this knowledge. I'm not going to be able to service the clients.
Mhm.
Well, number one, unless you're a sole trader, don't teach one person. Okay. This is a journey where people can collaborate and learn together. So number one, multiple people. In fact, we run a lot of workshops around Power BI training across Australia, New Zealand. And whenever we run the workshop, we make sure that there's 2, 3, 4 people in there. They don't have to do the full course, but we actually run a session right at the beginning that is for every staff member that talks about what it is, what it can do, what's the applicability to a client. And the reason for that is, number one, create opportunity. Number two, know that there's a new frontier that's emerging in this marketplace. As I said, if you think about it as Excel 2.0, go after it with that same kind of relish that you use Excel with, because it'll serve you down the line. But also have your key contacts around. Like, there's a number of firms, for instance, that we operate as their backup. If somebody goes and they've got a project to get delivered, me and my team step in, pick up the project where it was, and help get it finished, right? But I would prefer that you have multiple people trained so that you keep that knowledge in-house and you keep building it. Eventually, Power BI knowledge will become ubiquitous, like Excel knowledge. Until then, like any business division, you don't have only one person in the organization that can do payroll. Right. Same kind of thing. Set your team up, set them up so that you've got multiple people being trained.
And I mean, this is like a common fear that I get through directors and partners, is that they think, well, I don't know how to do it. I did a couple of little courses, but I'm not driving the Power BI engine. What if my star leaves me and I'm building up this recurring revenue stream? I'm relying on it so heavily every day goes past. What if they leave? This fear that, and they're actually thinking this before they start, if they get down that journey. And so what you're saying really is that, one, have a backup like yourself to get that interim period out of trouble, but also the ship goes on, like the show goes on.
Correct.
Like if that means that you have to tell your client, look, we're not running any development over the next month. Well, that's just the way it is.
Correct. And, a bit the same if you have someone who has an accident or anything else like that. The best way to survive, in your risk register, multiple people, or know that there's resources out there that can step in, but be honest with your client and just have what your strategy is set, and you'll end up with multiple people, because it will become something. And look, the other thing is, this kind of stuff's also a bit sexy, right? It's very cool. And I think you'd be surprised at how many people actually want to learn this kind of stuff if given the opportunity.
Absolutely.
Right? So, I think that what we think is, we think about the person in the organization that is in IT or something like that. And if I can, for just 30 seconds, just go and say, who's the right person in an organization to do this kind of stuff? It's someone, to me, it is someone who is an intermediate to senior kind of person who wants to learn. Okay. This is not Power BI. If you want to grow as a service in your firm, is not an IT function. Okay. It's an advisory function that uses technology to achieve. So we see firms go and implement Power BI. And sorry, and I'm not saying that IT shouldn't be involved. I think that every division should be involved and should learn, because there are some massive advantages to IT services internally to measure and leverage if you get the IT team up to speed as well. But what I'm saying is, if you're offering a data advisory service to clients, is you need people who are able to talk, communicate, and advise clients. So I always say, hey, pick someone who's senior or intermediate, who likes technology. They don't need to know how to program. They don't need to do all of that kind of stuff. I say, hey, if there's a partner there that wants to learn it, awesome. Just know that you're never going to have the time to get into the guts of it, but learn enough so that you can help the others out into it. Even for myself, I've got a technical team now that sits around me that I don't get into Power BI as often as I used to. And some of the team actively discourage me occasionally, but I still am in there enough to know so that when it comes back to, well, Dan, how should I best present this to the client? How should I actually design this? They're the kinds of questions that I'm getting involved with, not, hey, what's the DAX to do this measure? All right. And so that's probably a pretty important thing, is every firm where we've seen the partner go and say, I'm going to do it, it never tends to leave them from the organization. So the organization doesn't leverage it. And generally it then gets stuck in providing internal services only. Where, as I said, the biggest play for this is with your clients.
Because you will be in trouble temporarily. Like, you will, that's just reality. You're not going to have a backup person because they're not a cheap resource to have, whether they're here in Australia or they're in the Philippines or wherever in the world. Doesn't matter. The cost of those resources is becoming more expensive, but you'll find someone else, just as you always do for every role, just another role in a business. And there's lots of data visualization people out there. And there's going to be even out there, it's like anything negative that happens in your life or in your, business world, you can look at it positive or negative. So try and look at it as a positive. If you've got someone young in your firm that you can afford to have, fill the hole for a month, and they use it as a learning experience to understand Tani and Power BI better, then do that. If you need to just tell your clients for a month or two, sorry, like, our reporting function is down for next month.
They're definitely a concern for me, because I've only got the one plus a couple of outsourced type people. So we will try and find someone else to put on at some point. I'm very fortunate. We've got a pretty good working relationship with PT2, so they'll help us out. But yeah, we want to have more than one. So I'm hoping by over the next 12 months, we have 3 people working in this space, if not more, because I see it's part of our future. As Xero becomes more automated, does more of the accountants type work, we want to be in helping businesses grow, etc. And I still believe that people we're going to employ in the future, that's where they're going to want to work. Accountants, there's less of them out there. No one can get accountants to come and work for their firm. So it's not a very attractive industry. So at least if you do, working on businesses, helping them grow and identifying trends, for me, it's much more fun work. So if it's fun for me, it's got to be fun for the new people coming through.